Hello, my name is Mayanka. I am accounts and a finance trainer from Uplatz. Today in this class we will discuss section 160 and section 162, section 163. These are these cases are related to the liability in special cases. In this class we will discuss section 160 to section 163. In our previous class we have discussed section 159. Section 159, we have discussed who is the legal representative. Who is the legal representative and the liability in the case of legal representative. How we will determine the amount of income which will be taxable in the hands of legal representative. In case when there is any person, if there is any person has died, then in this situation, the legal representative will be liable to take the payment on his income. Means such income of such a deceased person will be taxable in the hands of legal representative. So in section 159, we have discussed who is a legal representative and how we will determine the amount which will be taxable in the hands of legal representative. Now, in this class, we will discuss section 160, section 161, section 162, and section 163. So now we will start our discussion on these sections. Representative assessee. Who is the representative assessee? Who is the representative assessee? So first we will discuss the meaning of representative assessee. Who is a representative assessee? So beside the legal representative which is mentioned above, means in section 159 we have discussed about the legal representative, the person who legally represent another person, then such person will be considered as legal representative. So there are some cases where the amount of the income is received by one person, but it will be assessed in another person. Means for the example, there is a person John. There is a person John. He is a non-resident of India. He is a non-resident of India. He earned some income. He earns some income in India. He earned some income in India. As per the provision of Income Tax Act, any of the income which is arise in India will be taxable in India. It will be taxable in India. So now, Mr. John, he is a non-resident. He is not the resident of India. He is not resident and he is earned, or there is any income which is earned by Mr. John in India. So such income will be taxable in India. Such income will be taxable in India. So the income is John. Such income is relating to John. Now, who will pay? Means in whose hand such income will be taxable. So, in the case of Mr. John, there may be an agent. There will be an agent in India who is representing Mr. John. Who is representing Mr. John? So such income will be assessed in the hands of such agent. For the example, the agent is Mohan. Mohan, he is the agent of John. Agent of John in India. So such income will be assessed. Such income will be assessed. Such income will be assessed in the hands of Mohan. Means such income will be assessed in the hands of Mohan and the tax will be paid by Mr. Mohan. Means when there is any person who earn any income in India, is that Mr. John, he earn income in India, or there is any income which is relating to any non-resident person, and such income accrue in India or arise in India. So as per the Income Tax Act, such person or such income will be taxable in India. Such income will be taxable in India. So in whose hand such income will be taxable? So there will be a representative assessee. Means the assessee means the person who will represent the assessee. So here the assessee is John and representative assessee is Mohan. Such income will be assessed in the hands of Mohan, and the Mohan will be liable to make the payment of tax on such income. So such income will be assessed in the hands of Mohan. So the income which is received by one person can be assessed in the hands of another person. Just like receiving the income earned by John, and it will be assessed in the hands of Mohan. In the hands of Mohan, the person who are liable to be assessed on the behalf of other person because of their association with the real recipient of the income are known as representative assessee. Is that the income will be associated means the income will be assessed in the hands of another person, and such income will be assessed because such person is doing the activities on the behalf of such another person. Means here Mr. Mohan, he is the agent of John, means he is representing Mr. John in India. He is representing as John in India. So the income will be assessed, so the income will be assessed in the hands of Mohan, because there is a proper agreement, or there may be some associations, or there may be some legal contract between them, then that Mr. Mohan, he will represent as a John in India, as a John in India. Then such person will be known as, mean the Mohan will be known as representative assessee. Is that the person who will represent the assessee, who will represent the assessee, and the person whose in whose hand the income of another person is assessed or taxable, then such person will be known as representative assessee. Now we will discuss the proper definition of representative assessee. So the representative assessee means, number one, income of the non-resident which is deemed to be accrue or arise in India when there is any income. Just like example, the income of non-resident person, it is accrue, arise or earn in India, then such income will be taxable in India. In this situation, the agent of such non-resident person, the agent of such a non-resident person will be considered as representative assessee. The agent, the Mohan, as per the example, the Mohan will be considered the agent. He will be considered the agent. He is the agent. So he will be considered the representative assessee of Mr. John. Means the agent of the non-resident person will be considered the representative assessee. So the agent of the non-resident, including a person who is treated as an agent under section 163 will be considered as legal, representative assessee. Number two, in the case of minor child, if there is any person who is the minor and he earned the income, there is a minor person and he earned the income, there is any person of unsound mind, there is the person of unsound mind, then the guardians and the manager of such person, then the guardians and the manager of such person who is entitled to receive such income, who is entitled to receive such income will be considered as representative assessee. He will be considered, or such person will be considered as assessee. For the example, Mr. Ram, he is the minor. He is the minor. His age is less than 18, and he earned he earned 15,000 rupees as income. So Mr. Ram, he is the minor. He is a minor, so he is not paying the tax. Means he will not pay the tax because he is the minor. Such income will not be taxable in the hands of minor. So in this situation, the guardians of Mr. Ram, means for the example A, he is the guardians, or A, he is the manager. He is the manager of Mr. Ram. Manager of Ram. then such income will be assessed. Then such income, such 15,000 will be assessed in the hands of A. Such income will be assessed. Such income will be considered the income of Mr. A. Means such income will be assessed in the hands of Mr. A, and the Mr. A, he will be liable to make the payment of tax on such income. Means Mr. A, he will be considered as a representative assessee because he will represent Ra. He is he will represent Ra. So he will be considered the representative assessee. So the income of 15,000 will be assessed in the hands of A, who is the guardian, or he who is the manager of such assessee, of such Ra, of such minor person. Number 3, income for which the court awards administrator general, official trustee, receiver, or the manager appointed by or under any order for a court to receive such income on the behalf of or for the behalf of any person is that there is a court, there is a administrator, or there is any official trustee, or there is any receiver, there is any manager who is appointed to receive such income, to receive such amount, then such person, then such court, then such administrator general, then such official trustee, then such receiver or the manager will be considered as representative assessee. He will be considered as representative assessee. Just like as per the example, there is a person Mohan, and he is appointed, he is appointed to receive 2,50,000 rupees on the behalf of another person, means on the behalf of, just like Rohan, on the behalf of Rohan, means Mr. Mohan, he is appointed, he is authorized that you will receive the amount 2,50,000 rupees on the behalf of Mohan, on the behalf of Mohan. He is a administrator, he is a manager, just like he is a manager, and he is appointed, and Mr. Mohan, he is appointed that you will receive such 2,50,000 rupees on the behalf of Rohan. Then such 2,50,000 rupees will be assessed in the hands of Mohan, will be assessed in the hands of Mohan. Means Mr. Mohan will be considered as representative assessee. He will be considered the representative assessee. Next, income for which a trustee is appointed under the trust deed by a duly executed instrument in writing, whether testamentary or otherwise, to receive such income on the behalf of or for the benefit of any person, for the benefit of any person. If there is any trustee, who is appointed that you will receive the amount of such income on the behalf of such person, on the behalf of such a person you will receive such income, and he is appointed on the basis of a writing instrument, means just means there is a proper deed, there is the proper deed that you will be authorized, or you are authorized to earn the such amount on the behalf of such person. Means there is a trustee who is appointed on the behalf of another person, that you will receive such amount on the behalf of such person, and there is a proper deed, that you are authorized. Means there is no verbal, there is the proper authorization in writing, there is a proper authorization in writing. So when there is any income for which a trustee is appointed under the trust deed by the by the a written document, on the basis of written document, then the receiver of such income will be considered the representative assessee. Means such a trustee or the trustees who are appointed will be considered the representative assessee. They will be considered the representative assessee. Number 5, income for which a trustee is appointed under an oral trust to receive such income on the behalf of or for the benefit of any person. If there is any trustee, in the fourth point, the trustee is appointed that trustee is appointed by the duly executed instrument in writing. Means there is the proper deed about his authorization. But in the case of 5 point, in the case of fifth point, the trustee is appointed, but on the basis of oral trust. There is the oral trust to receive such income. Means the when there is any trustee who is appointed orally to receive such income on the behalf of such any person, then such a trustee or such a trustees who authorized will be considered as representative assessee. They will be considered as representative assessee. So in the case of non-resident person, the agent of such non-resident person will be considered as representative assessee. In the case of minor child, in the case of unsound child, the person in the case of unsound person, the guardians of such person or the manager of such person who are entitled to receive the income will be considered as representative assessee. In the case of any income in the respect of which any court, any bard, any officer is appointed to earn or to receive such income, then such a appointed person, such a manager, such administrator will be considered or will be considered as representative assessee. And in the case of when there is any trustee is appointed, and such a trustee is appointed by the written written document, by the proper deed, then that trustee or the trustees who are appointed to to receive such income will be considered as representative assessee. And when there is any trustee who is appointed orally to earn the income on the behalf of such particular person, then such a trustee or the trustees who are appointed by the person will be considered as representative assessee. They will be considered as representative assessee. So this is the meaning and the definition of representative assessee. So every representative assessee is deemed to be an assessee under the Income Tax Act. Every person who is the representative assessee is deemed to be an assessee. He will be considered as assessee. The trust which is not declared by the duly executed instrument in writing shall be deemed to be the trust declared by the duly executed instrument in writing if a statement in writing signed by the trustee or the trustees and setting out the purpose of the trust. If there is a trust and such a trust is not declared, such a trust is not declared by the proper agreement, means there is no any written instrument on the basis of which we can declare it is a trust. A trust which is not declared by the duly executed instrument in the writing shall be then it shall be deemed to be trust. Such entity will be deemed to be trust, which is declared by the duly executed instrument in writing if the statement in writing is signed by the if the statement in writing is signed by the trustee or the trustees and setting out the purpose of such trust, particulars of the trustee and the trustees, the beneficiary or beneficiaries, and the trust property is prepared and forwarded to the assessing officer within the specific time limit. Then it will be deemed as trust. Then it will be deemed that it is a trust which is declared by the instrument, which is declared by the written instrument. If the written statement is signed by the trustee and the trustees, and it will contain all the detail. Means such a document, such a statement contain the purpose of the trust, particulars of trustees and the trustee, beneficiary information about beneficiaries, and it will also contain the information of trust properties. It is contain the information about the trust properties, and all these information are in such a statement, and such a statement is prepared and forward to the assessing officer within the specific time. Within the specific time, if it is made, then it will be deemed as such a trust declared by the duly executed instrument in right. In right, the specified time limit will be 3 months. There is a point that within a specific time limit. So the specific time limit is 3 months from the date of declaration of such a trust. Means such statement is required to be submitted to the assessing officer. Such a statement is required to be prepared or required to be submitted to the assessing officer within the period of 3 months. Within the period of 3 months from the date of declaration of such trust. From the date of declaration of that trust. Declaration of that trust. So for the purpose of this, for the purpose of the item oral trust, means because there is a point number 4, income for which the trustee is appointed under an oral trust. So what is the meaning of oral trust? What is the meaning of oral trust? Oral trust means when there is any trust which is not declared by the instrument in writing. When there is any trust which is not declared, by a duly executed written documents, it is not declared by a duly signed document, then it will be considered as oral trust. And it will be considered as oral trust, and it also include any woof deed. It is also include any deed, and it is also now deemed under explanation 1 to be trust declared by the duly executed instrument in writing. Means means oral trust means the trust which is not declared by the duly executed instrument. Means the trust which is not declared by the a proper signed, certified or executed instrument, and such instrument made in writing. Means it is not declared by it. It is not declared by it, and and it will not be deemed as a trust which is declared by such a duly executed instrument in writing. Means if there is any trust which is not duly executed, sorry, which is not declared by the proper agreement, means a written instrument, and which is not deemed as declared by a proper declared instrument, proper written instrument, then it will be considered as oral trust. Then it will be considered as oral trust. Just like that, for the example, there is a trust, and in the respect of such a trust, or such a trust is declared, such a trust is declared, such a trust is declared a trust by the, or on the basis of a written instrument, a written instrument, then it will be considered as, written, just like that, na? It will be considered as trust. It will be considered as duly registered, sorry, it will be considered as duly executed trust. It will be deemed as trust declared by the duly executed instrument. It will be declared that the trust is duly declared by the instrument, in writing, means if there is any trust duly instrument in writing, if there is any trust which is declared on the basis of a instrument, on the basis of a written instrument, then it will be considered as that the trust is declared by the instrument in writing. When there is a trust, when there is a trust which is not declared on the basis of, not declared on the basis of a written instrument, and not deemed to be declared, and not deemed deemed to be declared as trust on the basis of written instrument, then it will not be considered as, then it will be considered as oral, then it will be considered as oral trust, then it will be considered as oral trust, then it will be considered as oral trust. So this is the meaning of, meaning of trust means duly executed, duly executed instrument trust, which is declared as a trust in writing. And there is the another is oral trust, another is oral trust. So the liability of representative assessee. Now we will discuss section 161, the liability of the legal representative. The liability of the legal representative. Section 161. When there is any person whose income is assessed in the another person, means when there is any person whose income is assessed in the hands of another person, then such person will be considered as legal representative assessee. So, so what will be the liabilities? What will be the liability of such a representative assessee? When the income is assessed, then he will also liable to make the payment of tax and other dues on the behalf of such, on the behalf of such person, on the behalf of such person. So every representative assessee has the same responsibility. Every representative assessee, they have the same responsibility, they have the same duties, and they have the same life. Means means any, they, these are the representative assessee, these all are the representative assessee. So all the representative assessee, whether it is manager, whether it is trustee, whether it is agent, whether it is guardians, whether it is anyone, all the representative will have the same responsibility, with the same liability and the same duty. They have the same responsibility, same duty, and the same liability as if the income were being received or accrued to or in the favor of him for him beneficial. Means every representative assessee has the same responsibility, same duty, and the same liability as the income were being received by or accrue to or in the favor of him beneficial, in the favor of him. Means means the income, just like that, if it is his income, if it is earned by him, it is received by him, so the same procedure will also be there in the case of another person's income. Means means all the liabilities, all the responsibility, and all the duty will remain same, all the duty will remain same. He is liable to be assessed in his own name in the respect of such income, but the assessment is deemed to be have been made upon him in his representative capacity. Means the income will be assessed in the hands of such person, in the hands of such particular agent, in the hands of such particular manager, in the hands of such particular guardians, in his own name, but such income is relating to the another person, and such income will be assessed in the hands of him as a representative capacity, in the representative capacity only. Means such income 2,50,000 rupees will be assessed in the hands of Mohan as a representative assessee, as a representative capacity, in the representative capacity, not in the own capacity, as a representative assessee, as a representative assessee. The tax is liable on and it is recovered from such assessee. The amount of tax on such 2,50,000 rupees, the amount of tax is paid by the Mohan. It is paid by the Mohan. is in like manner and to the same extent as it would have been levied upon and recovered from the person represented by him. Represented by him is that in the respect of representative assessee, all the duties, right, all the responsibility will remain same, just like his own income. Means when there is any income which is assessed in the in the hands of representative assessee, then all the responsibility, all the liability, all the duty will remain same, just like his own income. Just like his own income means in the case of his own income, the income will assess in his hands, and the tax will be calculated on such income, and he will make the payment of such tax or other dues if any. He will make the payment of the tax or other dues if any. So the same procedure will be there when he will represent himself as the representative assessee on the behalf of another person. Then all everything will be same, but he will represent himself as a representative assessee on the behalf of another person. Means the income will be assessed in the hands of such person, but as a representative person, in the as under the representative capacity, not his own capacity. But all the duties, all the activity will remain same. The income will be assessed in the hands of such person. The such person will be liable to make the payment of tax, or if any other interest penalty, if any, then he will be liable to make the payment of such dues, all the dues, and the amount will be recovered by him own. It will be recovered by him own. Where any income is reaped in the respect of which the trustee appointed under the trust declare by the duly executed instrument in writing, whether testamentary or otherwise, including any valid deed, then it will be liable as a representative assessee as per the point number 4. There is the point number 4. Income for which the trustee is appointed. Income in the respect of which a trustee is appointed, and such a trust will and the trust is appointed under the trustee by the duly executed instrument in writing, whether testamentary or otherwise. And such a trust will receive the amount of income on the behalf of another person. Then such income will be assessed in the hands of such a trust. Means such a trust will be considered as representative assessee. So where any income, where any income which is received by the trustee on the behalf of another person, and such a trust is authorized or declared by a duly executed instrument in writing, then such a trust will be liable to make the payment of tax. Means the income, the income will be assessed in the hands of such trust as a representative assessee, and it may consist or include any profit, any gain from business. The income, it may be include EGBP, it may be include profit or gain from the business, and tax should be charged on the whole of the income in the respect of such person at the maximum marginal rate. Means in the respect of such income, it will be taxable at the maximum marginal rate, So what would be the maximum marginal rate, we will also discuss. So when there is any income in the respect of which a trust is appointed, in the respect of any income in the respect of which the trust is appointed to receive the income, then such a trust will be considered as a representative assessee, and the income will be assessed in the hands of such a representative assessee. And such income may be it may be include the amount of PGBP, and the income which is assessed in the hands of trustee will be taxable at the maximum marginal rate, at the MMR, maximum marginal rate. However, this provision will not apply in the case where such profit and gain are receivable under a trust which is declared by any person by will exclusively for the benefit of related dependent on him. for the support and for the maintenance, and such a trust is only trust so declared by him. Is that such provision? The previous provision, this one, is not applicable in the case of those trusts, or it is not applicable where such amount or such income or the profit or the gain are receivable under the trust. The trust which is declared by such person, it is means that which is it is not a trust, it is a declared, such a trust is only declared by such particular person for providing the benefit to the related dependent, the dependent, the related dependent who is totally depend on him for the support and for the maintenance. And such a trust is only the trust so declared by him, means it is not a proper trust, it is a trust which is declared by only such person, and such a trust will provide the benefits, it will provide the benefit exclusively to the such a dependent or exclusively to the related dependent, exclusively for the particular dependent, the dependent who is properly depend on such person for the any support, for any maintenance. And such a trust is not a trust, it is a just means it is a trust which is declared by only such person, which is declared by only such person. If certain income is assessed in the hands of any person in the capacity of representative assessee, the same income shall not be assessed in the hands of under any other provision of this act. If the income is assessed in the hands of representative assessee, then such income will not be assessed in his income under any other provision. Means if such a 2,50,000 rupees is assessed in the hands of Mohan under the Income Tax Act, then such income will not be assessed in his income in his hands in any other provision of Income Tax Act. Means only one time such income will be assessed. Right of the representative assessee to recover tax paid. Right of the representative assessee to recover the amount of tax which is paid. Section 162. Section 162 is that according to this provision, every representative assessee who is paying the amount of tax on the behalf of another person, if there is any person, just like there is an agent, he is paying the tax on the behalf of another person, then he has full right, he has the right to recover such amount from such a non-resident. Means if Mohan, he is paying the amount of tax on the behalf of John. If Mr. Mohan, he is paying the amount of tax on the behalf of Mr. John, then Mr. Mohan, he is has the right that he can recover the amount of tax from Mr. John, from Mr. John. So every representative assessee who pay any amount under this act is entitled to recover the sum so paid from the person on whose behalf he had paid it, or to adjust it against any money in his possession. Is that when there is any every representative assessee who will make the payment of any tax or who will make the payment of any due on the behalf of such person, then he has the right to recover such amount from such person, or he may adjust such amount with the money which is in possession. Means if for the example Mohan pay, for the example Mohan pay Mohan pay 10,000 rupees as tax or as dues on the behalf of John, on the behalf of John, then he has the proper right, then Mohan has the right to recover such a 10,000 from John. He is eligible or he has the right that he can recover such amount from John, or if Mr. Mohan has money of money which is related to John, which is related to John, then he can adjust he can adjust 10,000 rupees from such money. He can adjust such 10,000 rupees from such money. So the representative, he can adjust any money. He can adjust such amount with any money or against any money which is in his possession, but belonging to the other person. But such amount belonging to the other person means the income or the amount relating to John only. The representative assessee has the right to retain out the money in his representative capacity. The representative assessee, he has the right that he can retain the money of the representative assessee. He has the right that he can retain the money, retain out of the money in his representative capacity an amount which is equal to the sum which is paid by him, which is paid by him. Just like as per the example, he has paid 10,000 rupees. So Mr. Mohan, he has the right that he can retain such 10,000 rupees from John's money. From John's money. He can retain such 10,000 rupees which is paid by him or which will be payable by him as a dues, as a tax dues. So he is eligible or he has the right to retain out the money in his representative capacity, and such amount will be equal to the amount of tax which is paid or payable by him. The amount is such amount will be equal to the amount of dues which will be paid or payable, which will be paid or payable by him under the act, in addition to the right to recover the same from the beneficiary owner of the income. Any representative assessee or any other person who apportions that he may be assessed in the respect of any other person as the representative assessee, he has the right to retain out the money payable by him to such other person amount to the extent of estimated liability. Is that if there is any representative assessee or there is any other person who is representing another person, and he may be assessed in the respect of any other person as the representative assessee, means there is a representative assessee or there is any other person who is assessed as representative assessee on the behalf of such person, then such person he has the right to retain, then such person he has the right to retain out of his money which is payable by him, means the amount which is payable by such a representative assessee as tax, then such a representative assessee he can retain such amount, from the money of such other person. In the case of disagreement between the principal and the representative assessee, if there is any confliction, if there is any disagreement between the principal and between the agent, means if there is any disagreement between the Mohan and Mr. Mohan and Mr. John. So in this situation, such a representative assessee may secure from the assessing officer a certificate stating the amount to be so retained pending final settlement of the liability. The certificate so obtained shall be treated as warrant authorizing retention of the money. If there is any disagreement between the agent and principal or between the principal and the representative assessee, then such a representative assessee may secure from the certificate which will be received or which will be obtained from assessing officer, and which is stating the amount and which is detailing the amount is to be so retained and retained pending final settlement to the final settlement of the liability. The certificate which is obtained by such a representative assessee will be treated as warrant and authorizing a retention of the money. Means it will be considered as the certificate which is received by the representative assessee from the assessing officer will be considered as warrant and authorizing retention of the amount. The amount which is recoverable from such a representative assessee at the time of final settlement shall not exceed the amount which is specified in such certificate. Is that the amount which is recoverable from such a representative assessee? The amount which is recoverable from such a representative assessee shall not be more than, it shall not be more than the amount which is specified in such certificate. However, where representative assessee hold However, where representative assessee hold in his hand any additional assets of the principal at the time of such financial assets, financial final assess final settlement, then the assessing officer may initiate the recovery of the balance tax liability from the assets which is held by him. Is it that if there is the representative assessee and such a representative assessee hold, he contain any assets and such assets is belonging to the principal at a time of final settlement, the representative assessee, he has the assets, he has any assets of such other person, of such principal at a time of final settlement, then the assessing officer can recover the amount of balance checks from such assets, the asset which is held by, or sorry, which is held by the representative assessee, means he can recover, the assessing officer can recover the amount of balance checks from such assets. Now we will discuss section 163. Section 163 is statutory agent of non-resident. Statutory agent of the non-resident. Section 163. Section 163. Who is the statutory agent? Who is the statutory agent? So an agent is considered as the representative assessee, but only if he is the agent of non-resident person. Is that the agent is considered as a representative assessee only when, but only if he is the agent of non-resident person. Means in this situation, Mohan, he is the agent of non-resident person. He is the agent of non-resident person. Then he will be considered the agent. According to section 163, an agent in the relation to non-resident person include any person in India. Section 163, according to section 163, a person will be considered as agent in the respect of such a non-resident person. An agent in the respect of non-resident person shall be include any person in India who is employed by or on the behalf of non-resident. Means if there is any person who is employed by or who is employed on the behalf of such non-resident, then such person will be known as agent. Is that if there is any person who is employed, there is a person who is employed by John, who is the employee of Mr. John in India, then such a person will be considered the agent of Mr. John. Then he will be considered the agent of Mr. John. Number two, who is having any business connection with the non-resident. If there is a person, there is a Ram, he has the business connection with John, then he will be considered as agent. Then he will be considered the agent of Mr. John. He will be considered the agent of Mr. John if he has the business relationship, business connection with John, then he will also consider the agent of Mr. John. And the person from or through whom the non-resident is in receipt of any income directly or indirectly, or any person on the behalf of whom or through whom or from whom he is receiving, means the non-resident is receiving the amount of income. Any person on the behalf of whom such non-resident is receiving the amount of income from India, whether directly or indirectly, then such person will also be known as agent of such non-resident person. And number 4, who is the trustee of such non-resident person? The trustee of such non-resident person will also be considered as agent. Is that the person who is the employee of such non-resident person in India will be considered as agent of such non-resident person. Any person who having the business connection with such non-resident person, then he will be considered the agent. The person on the behalf of whom or through whom he is, means a non-resident person is receiving the income from India, whether directly or indirectly, then such person will also be considered as agent. And the trustee of such non-resident will also be considered as a agent. And any other person, whether resident or non-resident, who has acquired a capital asset in India by the means of transfer from the non-resident. If there is any other person who has acquired a capital asset, who has received, who has acquired a capital asset in India by the means of transfer from such non-resident, then he will also consider the agent. He will also consider the agent of such a non-resident. He will also treated as the agent of such a non-resident person. So in the first four cases, the person should to be assessed as the agent of the non-resident must necessarily to be in India. Means in the first case, such person should be in India. Means the person who is considered as agent will be in India. He will be in India. But in the fifth case, whether resident or non-resident, so such person may be in India or it may not be in India. Means in the first four cases, the person should to be assessed as an agent. The person who is assessed an agent of such non-resident person must necessarily to be in India, whereas it need not be so in the fifth case. But in the fifth case, it is not necessary. It is not necessary. Thus, a non-resident may be treated as agent of another non-resident. If is that on the basis of point 5, a non-resident person may also be the agent of another non-resident person. The appointment of the agent may be made any time before the expiry or after the expiry of relevant previous year. Means the appointment of the agent may be made before the expiry of previous year or after the expiry of previous year. The appointment of the agent may be made before or after the expiry of previous year. An agent of the non-resident may be appointed under this section even if at the date of such appointment the non-resident is not alive. Means under section 163, an agent of the non-resident person may be appointed under section 163 even if at the time of appointment the non-resident is not alive. He is not alive means he is expired. He is expired at the time of or at the date of such a or at the date of appointment of such a person as an agent. But as per section 163, an agent of the non-resident person may be appointed under section 163. According to the proviso of this section, according to the proviso of section 163, where transactions are carried on the ordinary course of business, whether the transactions are performed or transactions are done in the ordinary course of business through a broker in India, or the broker does not deal directly with or on the behalf of non-resident person, but deal with or through a non-resident broker, then the broker in India cannot be treated as a statutory agent. If there is a broker means when there are the transaction and these transactions are performed in the ordinary course of business. And these transactions are performed through the broker in India, and the broker does not deal directly with or on the behalf of such a non-resident, but he deal through the non-resident broker. Then such a broker will not be considered as statutory agent in the respect of such a non-resident person. In the respect of such a non-resident person and in the respect of income which is arising to the non-resident person from such a transaction, from these transaction will not be considered as agent, means he will not be considered as statutory agent, statutory agent of such a non-resident person in the respect of those income which is earned by such transaction, by such transaction. Thus, where bona fide hedging transaction take place through a broker in India or a foreign broker acting as the undisclosed principal, then the Indian broker cannot be deemed to be the agent of such foreign principal. If there is any transaction which is related to the hedging are taken through a broker, through the broker in India, and the foreign broker and the foreign broker is acting as a foreign broker, he is acting just like a principal, undisclosed principal, then such Indian broker will not be considered the agent of such foreign principal. But generally, a broker is not deemed to be the agent of non-resident person, so long as his function exclusively in the capacity of broker, because the broker he is not perform the activity on the behalf of any particular person, means he is performing the activity as a broker, as a broker, so normally he will not be considered the, he will not be considered the agent of such a non-resident person, normally he will not be considered the agent of such person. So so for the purpose of section 163 subsection 1, the meaning, the expression business connection shall have the meaning which is assigned to in expression 2 to clause 1 of section 9 subsection 1 of the Income Tax Act, means the business connection means, the business connection means which is defined in section 113 in section 9 subsection 1 of Income Tax Act. So before a person can be treated as an agent of the non-resident, he must be given an reasonable opportunity to being heard of the assessing officer as his liability to be treated. Is that before, means when any person who is appointed or who is authorized or who is treated as an agent of the non-resident person, first he must be given, given an opportunity to be heard to the assessing officer. By the assessing officer, the opportunity to be heard will be given to such person, to such person. So on the basis of this, we have discussed section 160 to section 163. These sections are relating to the representative assessee. Who will be the representative assessee and the liability of the response, the liability of the representative assessee, the rights of the representative assessee, and we have also discussed other provisions which are relating to the representative assessee. So, in the case of mostly in the case of non-resident person, the representative assessee is very much important, because such a representative assessee, he will make the payment of dues, he will make the payment of tax on the behalf of such non-resident person. So on the basis of such a discussion, we have covered section 162, 163. All other sections which are relating to such provision, which are relating to such topic, we will discuss in our another class. Kindly consider all the classes of such topics so that you can properly understand each and every example, each and every provision of this chapter. So thank you so much. Bye bye and have a nice day.